avenues to be able to fight into Polaris Esports' draft this game.
It's cool here that Polaris picked this Abaddon to kind of enable the Medusa a bit better, and also allows the Kalo to play in that 4 role, because I was thinking Kalo 5, like, yeah, it's a hero that stacks, but in the 5 role, you can't really do that so well. So they put Kalo, I believe, in the 4, and Abaddon, there you go, you're here to, you know, buff up and protect Medusa.
Well, that is
Mid-Pango.
The draft. All done, dusted. We see the 2 lineups, and 2 more things that we love to see are Mike and John. So get them on back in here. Hey, they're matching.
Oh my God, it's John and John.
It's John.
It's John
Don't
and
make fun of me, okay? I feel really bad, okay? So Mike and Mike, how are you guys going? And I am actually going to start with John. Sorry, Mike. But I'm going to start with John. Debated you. About the Polaris lineup and the ending and the mid-Pango.
Yeah, it's an interesting change-up for Polaris. I think they've got this really aggressive offlane that can happen. They just get the Dragon Tail into a good charge-up from Xavius. That could be really annoying. I do like NGX's draft because they go back to In Your Dream Special. Terrorblade comes out. This is a hero he was known for. It wasn't there in the last game. You should be much comfier here, and you have Metamorphosis to play with up against Medusa early. So it feels better for NGX along with Mizu's Brewmaster, which he does great work on.
And Mike, what about some final thoughts for you and even a prediction?
I'm much happier with NGX's draft. It's much easier to execute, and we know how great In Your Dreams TB is. Just looks like a much more comfortable draft for NGX. So I think we should at least expect a much closer game to.
Well, I am looking forward to jumping into game 2 and seeing if Enigma are clasp this one.
Thank you very much for doing it better. You were on.
I've got to say, Mike, you know, I know where you are right now. I've got to say, are those actually your shades, Mike? You know, it's highlighting your contours a bit different. Like it's maybe something that your mom would wear. Are you sure this is yours, Mike?
Oh, you're gonna throw me under the bus like that? Well, all right, John. You can be the only one with sunglasses on then, John. No need to bring my mother into this. Thank you very much.
She's got a good sense of style. Those are some sick shades, man. I'm glad that they suit your face. It's lovely, Mike.
Well, hold on. Are you saying I've got a feminine face, John?
No, I'm saying it looks good on you. Is all. You know the implications of that. I don't know what they are, but you have a good face with those shades. There you go.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. I'll try to take that as a compliment as we do go into game number 2 between NGX and Polaris Esports. NGX again, John, had a very, very rough game number 1, as you saw, and really couldn't get much done. But game number 2, I do have a lot more faith in their draft. And something I pointed out while we were kind of in the background, John, they chose DK into Hoodwink, which seems a little bit counterproductive for Polaris Esports.
Yeah, I mean, that break's going to be really annoying for Force to deal with. Of course, once the Hoodwink does have level 6, the DK is going to be feeling really soft and just really easy to handle. You can dispel the break, I do believe, so it might not be a massive issue once the BKBs do line up. I think that's what they're going to go for. I still like the DK pick overall, though, Mike. Like, the change to shards at 15 with the buffed up fireball, this here is pretty damn annoying to deal with. Your waves are always going to be shoved down with the DK and the Keeper of the Light, and it's not going to be really comfy. Laning phase might be a bit awkward for Force and Xavius. You know, you do have a Dragon Tail combo with the Illuminate to an extent, but that is still a Terrorblade lane. He can melt pretty fast. Paulson's going to try his best to zone them out, and In Your Dream does get a good read, but look at that HP. Level 1 Illuminate, half HP, Mike.
Well, it seems very balanced to me, Jonathan. Very, very balanced indeed. I mean, the thing is, though, Paulson is going to be able to just chase down Xavius and harass him out quite a bit on this Keeper of the Light, though. As I say that, Xavius is going to go for a bit of a longer run. Never mind that, because top lane, you've got Natsumi and Mavis against Mizu and Jokam. It does seem like another free lane here for Natsumi, I'd say, John. When you do have some nice kill potential here with the Cinderbrew into the Bushwhack, but even then, I don't know if it's really enough to deal with the Dusa. Especially once you've got Mavis there with the Aphotic Shield. You see how great Mavis is just harassing everyone out. Just completely zoning NGX.SEA, and they can't really address Natsumi yet.
It's just a strong combination. Medusa just does a lot in the laning phase. Mystic Snake is just so painful for something like a Brewmaster who has to be up close to the creep wave, not easy to dodge it out. And Mavis can be a lot more sacrificial. Just run forward, get some hits off. Keen to see if he will go for Mist Coil or Curse by level 2. Like, if he does go Curse, that's much more aggressive. If he does go for the Mist Coil, just wants to burn them down and force some regen out. You are still getting some decent EXP from Mizu, but the farm's not coming in. And this kind of goes back to almost like the Darkseer, where it does take some farm to get a Brewmaster really strong. You want the Ags, you want refresh. You need a strong laning phase to kind of get that going, because you don't really flash farm this hero.
Well, you certainly don't, but now they will move in. Natsumi dropping very low, and he does not have that Abaddon around him to try and help him out. Mavis, he will run in time. They won't have the damage output anyway to really take down Natsumi. You see the importance of Mavis just sticking around to make sure the Dusa does have that backup. They still will have the damage, and even Jokam finding a self-cancellation there on Natsumi. How's the mid lane going, by the way? I mean, Alacrity and Lelouch have been going at it for a little bit of time now. Alacrity doing just fine, it seems. I mean, Lelouch having another very strong laning phase by the looks of it. Not really much the Tidebringer is really doing here against the Pango, it seems.
It's all about spell usage, right? If you do manage to shield crash before the Tidebringer comes up, that damage reduction takes away a lot of the trading potential of Alacrity. I mean, it's just really hard to completely burst down a Pangolier, and Lelouch has been working the lane well. Up ahead in CS, rune control is going to be important for both sides. Maybe a little bit more for Lelouch, as he does carry the bottle early on. So he's going to want that to, you know, just enable his aggression. Maybe get a power rune to get some rotations as well.
Yeah, certainly so. Now 0-0, 3 minutes in, both sides just getting close to dying, but not quite yet.
Something extra.
It does seem like Polaris have been the more aggressive team thus far, but I suppose with the draft they have, that is to be expected. And that bot lane looks just very, very dangerous here for NGX, and it's just so easy to set up with the Dragon Tail into the Illuminate. Mollison might just cop it right now, and he does. A lot of damage to be dealt to the Weaver. If that was in your dream, John, again, you just set up with the stun, and it's very, very easy magic damage to fly out here onto the TB. Props to in your dream, at least for now. He's having a very good laning stage. 20-4, actually ahead of Natsumi on the Dusa.
Yeah, it's a good start for that Terrorblade. And again, we always talk about TB versus Dusa when it used to be much more common. Terrorblade feels a lot stronger early on with a Metamorphosis. So you have greater damage. You can keep up and farm with your illusions coming through as well. This is not as high pressure for game for In Your Dream. It's a comfort here of his. And Force, despite all the aggression, hasn't really been able to find as much farm as you'd expect. I mean, he is getting some good work done, but not enough to slow In Your Dream down, as we pointed out. So overall, NGX is just happy at the state of the game. This is a much stronger start for In Your Dream, and that should lead to good things by mid-game.
Oh, certainly so, Jonathan. Top lane, Jokam almost falling on the Hoodwink, but they don't quite have enough damage to finish him off. They are able to get away without spilling First Blood quite yet here on NGX. In the meantime, In Your Dream being chipped away at. Xavius unable to get close now, as Paulison will just kind of zone him out on that Coddle. And even mid lane, Lelouch and Alacrity just kind of going at it. Lelouch copping a hell of a lot of damage. He has gotten a lot of CS already on the Pango, but does still need to be very wary now, as the Kunkka is just dealing way too much damage. Still so many low HP heroes across the map. Nobody dead quite yet, but you start to ask yourself, John, where's the First Blood happening?
Feels like it should be able to come out in mid with these early level 6s coming through. Alacrity's already got the boat ready. Lelouch is forced to go all the way home, has his own 6 up. So he might be able to just TP elsewhere and play with a Rolling Thunder. In that case, you'd want to make that action happen bot. You want to bully out the TB that we've talked about, and you know, slow down In Your Dream as much as possible. They are doing a good job here on NGX of scouting out some of those stacks coming through, and they're also doing a great job of securing runes for Alacrity. They will start now on Lelouch.
Yeah, mid lane, but he gets knocked to the low ground, so Lelouch getting a little bit unlucky as Alacrity gets knocked to the high ground. Oh, how unlucky can you get? Lelouch just kind of letting him get out by his own accord.
Yeah, that's not luck, Mike. That was calculated. He stood right at the cliff edge. He did not move. He knew he'd get knocked down low and knocked high, and he just knows. It's those little plays that makes all the difference. We talked about the level 6 spikes. Lelouch not going to have the option to roll around earlier. Alacrity did have to use both, so he also can't really be too aggressive. And in the end, I guess that does favor Lelouch, as he's healthier. He can hold the mid lane a little bit more and clear out some more creeps. And you always have the XTP home for the Kunkka, so you're not really cut off, but still no First Blood, Mike. 6.5 minutes in. Maybe once you have those cooldowns off from the mid laners, you can start to expect it on the side lanes. But for now, it looks like they're happy farming.
They are, John. Still 0-0 here, though Alacrity now has rotated down bot, so there's a high chance we might see a kill happening. Down to this bot lane with Force is still around. They'll get the swarm out. Alacrity should have plenty of follow-up damage here to get this TK down, but the stun is there to try and slow him down, but Alacrity is going to be able to get the X back into the torrent, and we'll be able to secure first blood.
And here
as it did seem like they were trying to give that over to In Your Dream, but Alacrity somehow still finds it with the torrent damage.
Still works out in the end. Out of all the heroes, the Kunkka feels like it's the most important to get running at this junction. You know, just get the farm going. Is he trying to get down again, Alacrity?
He is
yes.
done. He is, and he's done a great job of it, Alacrity. That's really just perfect, isn't it? Alacrity, no fear in the world. Just clicks on the corner there, just clicks on the edge of the cliff and gets knocked down. You love to see it.
And they get the chance to clear out some of these ancients as well. Not the quickest from the Kunkka, but they're applying pressure.
Yeah, no level 6 on Mavis, so all this damage is going to really hurt as they take down the Abaddon. Another great kill for NGX's Force. He's going to try and turn back into this hoodwink. Jokam, he'll go for the scurry, but Lelouch from the low ground with the swashbuckle will have plenty of damage. They'll secure a bit of a trade here now for Polaris, and well, that was actually the first kill for the Dire this game.
It's a pretty decent kill, not the biggest. It's still a support hoodwink in the end, and they are buying a lot of space on NGX. This is sort of reminiscent as to what Polaris was doing game one. They were the ones being aggressive, taking the attention away from NGX under course. Now they're giving all the space they can to In Your Dream. He's playing the jungle. They've managed to get themselves a lot of room for Mizzy to farm up, and we talked about that Brewmaster, Mike. You know, he had a bit of a slower laning start. It's looking a lot better now with the space he has up top, so that should mean Mizzy's ride towards his Spirit Vessel, perhaps his Ags, his refresh, isn't going to be too bad. Could greed out and go for the Midas as well, as we tend to see from some of these Brew players.
Paulson gonna spot out Natsumi, and this early on Natsumi be a little bit more vulnerable on that Deucer. Paulson, he'll get a bit of damage off, but nothing to write home about. He will continue following Natsumi down on this Medusa, maybe just forcing him back towards the fountain, but Natsumi, he doesn't really want to go towards there yet, nor does he feel comfortable in the triangle yet either. So Paulson just doing a really nice job of just following this Medusa and just being a real nuisance.
Just ensuring that Natsumi is not going to get off to that running start. We saw him in game one, and again, you're looking at In Your Dreams farm, it's going a lot better as they make some aggression up top.
Yeah, Lelouch, he's going to be there with the Rolling Thunder, but Mavis is set to fall if they just lock him down with Alacrity. So Lelouch is still chasing down Jokam and should eventually be able to get him with the swash, but no! I put a swarm that connected as now the boat's gonna fly in. Raindrop is there to try and protect his Lelouch. He still finds him blind, but it's gonna cost his own life. Alacrity able to take a very, very valuable kill here for NGX. And John, am I going blind? Did that swashbuckle really miss?
Maybe every single proc was an evaded proc, you know, from the scurry. It did look like it hit. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, sometimes the angles on these higher parts of the map can get a bit awkward, and they do manage to get some good kills on NGX. They'll go for the top tier 1. Not gonna take too long with In Your Dream showing up here. They do manage to clear out bot on Polaris' end, so map control's evened out. It's a stronger start for NGX. We mentioned it, Mike. This Terrorblade's going to be a harder issue to deal with in the early game. It feels like that big opportunity to shut down In Your Dream was in laning phase. Once he gets his Manta up, with some of the stats that provides, he's going to be a lot tankier against the magic damage. Then he can just work towards that BKB. And your only physical output's really going to be the Dusa. You could maybe rely a little bit on that DK, but it's not really burst physical damage. So clearing out the Terrorblade will still be a slow process anyway. And that just gives NGX a lot more to play with. They've had a really strong start. You're also seeing the BKB rush here on Alacrity. So they know they just need to play faster than they did in game 1. And Polaris, well, it's almost the same story from game 1. They have to keep farming up the Natsumi. Even Force needs a BKB and a blink up on that DK before he's big. It's a lot more they have to save up for here before they feel comfy.
They're playing a big group up from Polaris, just really unwilling to let that mid-tier 1 tower fall. And of course, when you're playing as a Medusa, you never want that mid-tier 1 tower to go down. They will throw everything to make sure it does remain protected. Keep in mind, in the meantime, Paulson has been scouting out the triangle. So he's got kind of ideas of what's going on, and even just sniping Mavis's courier here. It's being very annoying on this Weaver. It's just all halting Natsumi on this Deucer. In fact, look at that. No stacks to be made as the sentry ward's been placed there.
Yep, they just prioritize that. They really prioritize that area in the jungle. Like 3 sentries just to ensure that all of them are blocked. Xavius is going to have to get a top up there and just try to rectify it. But Paulson's done so much good work. It feels like they really learned from game 1. Another curse. He's all over the place, this bug.
Yeah, and I just realized as well, John, with the sentry ward placement, there's a triangle within the triangle, which you would love because you're all about shapes these days.
I'm about circles, Mike. Not the triangles. I like circles, unfortunately.
Right.
3 sides doesn't do it for me. No sides. Now we're talking, you know. But still, you managed to clear out. So,
isn't a circle like one big side?
I guess you could say it's one side.
Joe Cam.
Step lively now.
He chased down. Alacrity is around, but doesn't actually bother trying to go after the Abaddon. You do have that level 6 up now, so he can just skill up the borrowed time if necessary, and seems like that'll be about it. NGX really uninterested in fighting. Polaris obviously kind of in the same boat right now, unwilling to go for a big fight. Both Pols ones just continue farming up. And Natsumi just back into that triangle. I suppose if you're NGX though, I mean, you're much more confident this time around to just play the slow game. Like this time with the TB Kunkka, you're much more comfortable.
It's not even the Kunkka I'm worried about for Polaris. It's actually Mizu's Brewmaster. This Ags is not going to take too long for him to build up. Once you have those charges on the split, as the panel mentioned, you just Cyclone up the Medusa, she's gone. Like, she's not going to be a factor, and that's where all the network's going right now for Polaris.
Paulson finally going to get punished for his insolence in this triangle. And you saw Natsumi even giving the tip over, and how impactful this weave has been thus far. They finally squished the bug, and Natsumi can get back to work in that triangle. The damage has already been done. Alacrity and In Your Dream just catching up or keeping up with this Dusa. And speaking of the devil, Alacrity may get caught out now as Force is trying to jump in for a blink and does find it. Do you have a follow-up damage though? Alacrity is going to cop the Illuminate. There'll be a Rolling Thunder to fly in here from Lelouch, but the Sharpshooter does connect onto the DK still with the Aponic Shield. Maybe they've saved the day. Force, he is still alive, still running, gets the blink away into the TP, and they can't find him. They just didn't have the vision. So many heroes forced to rotate mid to try and get that fight going. It just doesn't really end up panning out for either side.
Yeah, you can see the value in that Abaddon pick, Mike. The last pick Abaddon to help secure the time here for Force. And that break on Hoodwink's the spell though. So even if you do manage to break, if Mavis is around, he's still going to be hard to burst down. You don't really have the highest magic damage here yet on NGX outside of maybe your Kunkka. So you have a lot of survivability for Force despite not having that BKB up. And I think the side of NGX has to be careful about committing that hard. And that is a lot of space for Polaris to use to farm up on Natsumi. Still seeing some good follow-through on the farm on that Dusa, and they can apply pressure on towers really quick. Force still has Dragon Form, starts working towards that mid-tier 1. NGX, because they had to use both already in Sharpshooters, just doesn't feel like they're comfy enough to defend, and that's going to allow Polaris a lot more breathing room for that Dusa. So the state of game is still pretty good for NGX. I mean, you are still scaling on your Brewmaster, you've got a really good set of farm here for In Your Dream. You have to be worried about giving that back though. 1k, 2k lead, not enough for NGX to really be in full control of this game.
Still 4-3, 2k net worth lead here for NGX. In Your Dream getting very close to that Manta style now, and that's around the time you can really start to get involved if you are this Radiant. You see Paulson again on that wave, we're going to run right into Natsumi. Back off now, and maybe with the Sakuchi he does make it out. Now, unable to punish. In the meantime, Mizu's still trying to force in this mid-tier 1 tower, and it's a bit of damage off with the Siege Creep, but in the end it's only going to really be one hit. Nothing to write home about for NGX. They'll just be happy with all the space that's been created, though. I've got to say, John, ever since that triangle got kind of resolved here for Natsumi, he has just overtaken net worth again.
He's gotten enough space to just keep farming up. Paulson's not investing as hard into securing that area anymore. He is saving up for his Ag, so maybe prioritizing that build-up instead of the farm shutdown. And again, as mentioned, This is giving Polaris a lot to work with. I'm actually curious about one thing here for Polaris. They did go for the defusal on Lelouch. I've had a few talks with some Pangolier players. Some of them think this is really greedy. I think in this case, it just gives you a really good way of slowing someone down. There is a bit of a lack of disables for Polaris, so this makes it easier for Lelouch to kind of get that Rolling Thunder chain stun. And we'll see if that factors in, as looks like they're hunting down that Weaver again.
Yeah, they know Polison's around here somewhere, and with the Rolling Thunder, he's barely gonna miss out. Oh, they don't see him. Polison doesn't move an inch, and he barely survives. I suppose he got some advice off Alacrity, John.
Is under attack.
Yeah,
Radiant's
good dodge out in that gank, and that opens up a bit of a mid-shove.
Structures are fortified.
But they should be able to clear this one out, even in your dreams around with the Metamorphosis ready. And that will even out the map control here for the side of NGX.
Tier 1 mid tower dropping very quickly here in your dream. He's going to be able to find it. And without the Rolling Thunder, it's very hard to force this fight. So Polaris Esports going to have to accept the fact that it is gone. And like you mentioned, John, that will even out the map here for both sides. Natsumi now, though, going to feel quite as comfortable in that dire triangle, but he is still going to be protected. It's Polison has been scouted again on this Weaver, but he is going to go for a bit of a run with the Sakuchi. Force, he'd already committed the blink, so it's very hard for him to break the gap now. Polison, he knows that. He'll just keep clearing out the creep wave, though Force now does have a blink up, but is not going to even bother trying. Polison, maybe a bit too hard to catch. What do they? They are still around, but no, they won't bother. They'll just run the other way. Just get back to farming. No point trying to chase this bug.
Definitely not. And NGX has been using that space really well. Ag's just one part away here for Mizu, around 700 gold left on that. I think that's the moment where NGX starts forcing some more fights out. They've got the BKB on Alacrity still on 9 seconds, working towards the Orchid for some control. They're about to hit that mid-game spike that this lineup really has in comparison to Polaris, and I think for Polaris' sake, they've got to be ready for that. They've got to find a way to break up the clump up. They've got to find a way to protect Natsumi, because if he does get caught out from these movements of NGX with those items up, it's not going to feel good for Dedusa. She has that net worth lead, a couple of vets, and she'll drop off pretty fast in terms of that net worth, and it just becomes a lot easier to handle.
Top lane, they're going to try and force the fight now. Mizu is the target. Primal Split not going to be there in time. Force, he got the drag tail off. They might have the damage. No! Mizu, he gets the split off just for the nick of time, as now they'll turn back in on Force. In the meantime, Xavier's almost dropping. He'll get away. Natsumi to move in with the Stone Gate, trying to go after In Your Dream and the Terrorblade. He can't get the Sunder target off. Mizu now, even with the split, may just end up dropping, and does. Lelouch finds him. They do at least get Xavius in the end, but what does it matter? It's not a good fight for NGX whatsoever. In the end, Polaris Esports, they should be very satisfied with that.
That's a massive win. They drop their offlane DK, but they managed to find the TB and the offlane Brewmaster. A huge exchange In Your Dream. He used his Metamorphosis as well, so in his respawn, going to be a bit slower to work those lanes if he wants to get some pressure with his team going. And that's just timely from Polaris. They understand they've still got the jump potential coming through with that blink. They've got a lot of damage coming through with a fireball on top of it as well. And they're just giving that space, giving that room they need for Natsumi to grow big. Scotty, one part already done, 2 parts left, not too far on the gold. Paulson's still doing a good job of being disruptive in that jungle. Like, he's still running around that area, but it just feels like there's much more map now for Natsumi. He's not forced to be confined in that triangle, and he's still outfiring a TB, as you'd expect. I mean, TB can keep up. And that's still a Juice with split shot. It doesn't take her too long to build up more.
Lane Force. I move in onto Mizu, but unable to break the gap as Polison. For being so annoying. He's found 2 couriers, but they turn right back around. They saw the Weaver and they're like, nope, not this time. As Lelouch gonna go for a bit of a chase. Polison, he's out of mana. No Sakuchi mana available, so Force is gonna get in with the Dragon Tail. Xavius will get the tip over. They finally squish the bug. And with that, Polaris going to feel a lot safer in this jungle. Though again, it's just so much space to be created for NGX thanks to Polison. But not if you go for the Roshan as Polaris, and that's exactly what they'll do.
And with the damage you have from this DK with a fireball, it doesn't take too long. Your output isn't the fastest. There is room to respond on NGX, and you should be able to scout this one out as well.
They've fight though. Dokkan gonna move in with the acorn shot. Does have a bit of vision with the tree. They do commit the split as well. They're gonna move in. Who are they aiming, however? I mean, they're going after illusions right now. In the meantime, Lelouch just dealing with the backline onto Jokam. The cyclone for the Medusa means they can finally focus down Force, but he's still protected. In fact, now they'll turn back around. Jokam's gone. In your dream, Force asunder, but he has been petrified up, and he can't follow up. As you do see Mizu still going. Go X back Natsumi. Maybe they've got the Medusa this time around. He's gone too far, and he does end up getting taken out. NGX looking like a good team fight for them now. They just keep going. Everyone's so low on Polaris Esports. Should be easy pickings as Mavis will actually drop here to Polison. And with that, they just want the Roshan. And that's exactly what they'll go for. NGX.SEA. They'll get the Aegis up on In Your Dream. They'll chase for more now as Force and Xavius was still sticking around. Mizu will move in with the Fake Grenade and the Cinder Brew as Force will get X'd up by Alacrity into the turret, and they'll have plenty of damage to take care of this Dragon Knight. And in the end, John, that Mizu Brewmaster split just cycloning up the Dusa just meant they couldn't really fight back.
Thank you.
That's the one issue for Polaris. The Brewmaster is a big factor in these fights. You already have the Ags up for Mizu as well. And it's a very fractured fight for Polaris. You have Lelouch Force going towards the left onto that ramp area by Roshan. You had everyone else stuck nearby the Roche pit. And that just meant the damage output of Polaris, the control they had, was very split up. And that left Natsumi in a very vulnerable spot. So heads up play from NGX to split them up like that. They managed to get 2 lives up on In Your Dream now. He's also working towards his Scotty. At this point, it feels like Polaris has got to maybe slow things down a bit. We've stopped on item progression here for Lelouch or Pangolier. Falling behind 2 cores on NGX. Is working towards the US next and does have the shard for some utility. I think it's also unfortunate he got caught in the cliff in that Roche fight. So he had a couple of parts of that roll where he wasn't really bouncing around, kind of got caught out in that burnout as we saw KP before a few years back, if you recall that, Mike. Never a great feeling. And again, they just lost so much control from that mispositioning. So good opening for NGX. And this game just feels like it gets easier as time goes on for them, because you're going to have a refresh for Mizu. You're going to be able to have, what, 3-4 splits up in the middle of a fight. Natsumi's game is just difficult. If he doesn't have something defensive like a BKB, he's just going to be constantly cycloned up, and again, that's where all your gold's at. If Natsumi can't fight, then the rest of the team's just kind of short 14,000 gold in these engagements.
Yeah, but in true SEA carry style, John, Natsumi's queuing up a Daedalus. You see, BKB has no damage, John. Only 24 damage. What's the point? Daedalus is the way to go. Obviously, that was the problem last team fight around. We'll see how that works out for Natsumi. In the meantime, of course, top lane NGX, they're going to start forcing in that top tier 2 tower.
Are fortified.
Lelouch going to try and hold them back with the swashbuckle. Jokam will move in, looking for an acorn shot. In fact, Polison now going to spot out the Pangolier, but can they really lock him down? It doesn't seem like it. He'll be fine. Though I can't say the same for the tier 2 top tower, which is slowly being chipped away here by In Your Dream. But the same will happen down to the bot lane as Natsumi does take down the bot tier 2 tower.
Not so safe harbor.
And then I suppose it's another kind of even affair between these two teams. I mean, it's only a 2k net worth advantage here for NGX. And in the end, Natsumi is still top of the net worth board. So NGX, they might try to force high ground with this Aegis timing of In Your Dream. But it's going to be very difficult into a Keeper of the Light, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of wave clear, not just the Keeper, but the Pangolier as well with Swatch. So trying to shove in these lanes is going to be a slow process for the side of NGX. And I think that's what Polaris has to stall this game out. Still, NGX looking for that smoke play. If they catch out something like Natsumi, that would be big. Let's see what they do spot.
Not quite the target they wanted to start with, John, but they'll try and secure as Lelouch. He jumps in for a double stun, trying to follow up. He will force the BKB up from Alacrity, but in the meantime, they've got the Abaddon with the sharpshooter. The borrowed time will not pop. NGX, a nice way to start the fight. We'll see if they can keep going. In fact, they found Lelouch with the Cyclone. They lock him down, but they mistimed the Bushwhack. He's going to be okay. In your dream, though, still trying to force the fight. Natsumi, he'll stand his ground and just wait this one out. But they're going to exit back into the boat with the silence out. They'll have so much damage to burn through the mana. But now in your dream's been caught out with the stun, but the time lapse is going to buy him a second chance to be able to fight back as Natsumi now with the stone gaze is just trying to find these Brewlings, and he might just have him. The Mizu is not going to die in time. He'll be able to fall back into the original Brewmaster as Natsumi in your dream. They'll man fight. They will lose the Aegis onto the Terrablators. Now Alacrity trying to back off but won't make it. Natsumi will have the damage. Dokkan to also drop it. In your dream is forced to run. He'll TP right out. But it will be a win this time for Polaris Esports.
That's pretty massive. They take away Aegis, so now it's a little bit less safer in your dream to play aggressively and manage to find some big kills. Mizu coming out there by the skin of his teeth, turning back into the original form on time. You still have a lot of damage output on that Dusa, and with the stats she has, with the Scotty up and running and the Manta along with the Dragonlance, even without the BKB, it takes a lot of commitment to kill her off. Paulson?
Alright, you'll get the double damage rune, John. We'll go for the time lapse back. Those Xaviers is there with the solar bind, but it won't matter. They won't be able to lock him down, so he does deny a very nice rune away from Polaris Esports. Then NGX. Back to the drawing board, back to farming. They've still got to find a way to deal with this Medusa properly. And scary times are coming, because Natsumi has now queued up a BKB. It's going to be after his Daedalus, but that's besides the point, John. He needs the damage first before survivability. Meanwhile, Force is there. They do catch up Polison, but can they really get him? Yes, they can. Force will have plenty of damage to get the job done. And now Natsumi has the Daedalus up, so they want to get going into that tier 2 mid tower.
Straightforward push coming through without the Weaver to kind of cut off this fight. Does feel like NGX has to watch themselves. For me, just surrendering a tier 2 is not the biggest problem at this point in the game. They will have refresh up on Mizu in a short while.
That's not out Force. Yeah, he did again. Right on Dokkan. Nice Force stuff away, but it's just not going to make the difference. Force just no fear with these initiations, and well, that's kind of been the story here for Polaris both games. It does feel like this offlane is just doing so much work for this dire side as now they move in onto the high ground. You can keep in mind there's no buyback available right now for Dokkan, so he can't rejoin this fight. Instead, NGX.SEA going to find a way to try and defend. They will use the Tidebringer or Riva. Pull him back. But Natsumi, he'll be just fine. The tidal wave not enough in the end to really drag Natsumi back and take him out. And with that, they'll be happy. Polaris, they'll just back off.
Just get to reset, and just kind of keep that farm game up. I think the Keeper for Lights have been giving them a lot of utility here, Mike. Like, you do have that immediate swashbuckle doubling up. I think the big one's really actually the Aphotic Shield. Dropping the cooldown in that spell, just having doubled saves in the middle of a fight is pretty terrifying. So it feels like for NGX, the key thing to take out is one of the supports. You want that Abaddon gone for the shield. You want the Keeper for Light gone for the lower cooldowns. I think the Abaddon takes higher priority if they can get that jump. Like every single time they find Mavis first, it's like NGX immediately looks for that fight because they know without that shield, it becomes a lot easier to manage Natsumi, manage Lelouch, manage Force, and just kind of find those kills.
Yeah, nice little cheeky tidal wave with the boat and the BKB, just in case Alacrity needed it. Natsumi, still a force to be reckoned with. Mid lane, who have they got? Polison gonna be dusted out. Xavius with a great setup there on that Keeper. Just bringing the DK in and they'll get rid of the bug once again. Polison just not having the impact he once had in this game number 2. And well, suddenly, John, it's looking a lot scarier for NGX. It just doesn't feel like In Your Dreams being able to keep up with Natsumi, and well, it just seems like they might be lacking damage now.
They're lacking damage, and they can't keep up with how fast Polaris can work the map. I mean, think about it. Recall, 15-second cooldown, chakra match yourself down to 6. You can immediately get a 3-man gank going in the span of 12 seconds. That's kind of nuts. So they can just constantly run across the map, play forward with Kalo, find those isolated heroes, go for the objectives after, pressuring that top tier 1 right now. Next Roshan in a minute and a half here, Mike. And that's going to be big. Polaris taking this tier 1 top, secure a really good position for the next Rosh. And there's that BKB we were talking about for Natsumi, so he is definitely protected in the middle of these fights. That Cyclone, not going to be as effective now.
Certainly not. Of course, for Natsumi's sake, the BKB does indeed give 24 damage. So, again, in SEA, we heckin' love damage, John. So, well, Natsumi, we're very happy with himself here. Speaking of BKBs, though, In Your Dream gonna have his own up now, but again, I feel like the BKB wasn't really the issue here for In Your Dream. So we'll find out in just a moment, as they are gonna smoke up as 4. In fact, make that 5.
Dire are scanning.
Just wrapping around the long way, trying to get back into their own triangle here, NGX.SEA. Line has been drawn out, but Natsumi in a perfect position to actually break the smoke. The problem is he may not be the one who wants to break the smoke, but he won't mind. He'll just go straight for the fight and just trying to fight this up. Mizu, how far has he gone? He's going to go for the second split up now. In the meantime, Jokam is melting, but In Your Dream trying to do it force, but he's just perfectly fine. And Mizu is still just being chased down by the crazy snake lady. Mizu, run. It's not safe, Mizu. He's wasted both his split charges, and he gets absolutely nothing of it. That'll be a Brewmaster dead. Who are they even trying to deal with right now? It's Lelouch. They were trying to kill off the Pango the whole time, but they couldn't even find that. In fact, Alacrity barely gets out with his life intact.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And they find more Polison. He's still trying to run. In Your Dream actually sticking around a bit too long with this Ancient Black Dragon. It's a lot of damage. In Your Dream forced to turn his back here on the Medusa, but they'll use him up. Lelouch, no, the Bushwhack gonna hold back Medusa for a bit, but it won't matter. In Your Dream to drop. Polaris Esports, they are playing this map way too well here against NGX. They'll find another successful team fight win, and they'll just move straight into the tier 2 top tower. And John, I think that might just be another high ground attempt here from this Dire side.
For sure, they managed to get all the kills they need. They know Metamorphosis is down in that turret wave when he respawns, and that was just unfortunate for NGX. They go for the smoke, they get surrounded from the low ground by Polaris. They get a good high ground advantage. They break off Mizu. The Brewlings were just dying. It's that point that Chico was making, that pre-level 20, these Brewlings just die the very fat Medusa. As we've been pointing out, Mike, Natsumi with a Daedalus, he's very fat for the damage this game.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
Or even the blink up now on Polison to really try to be able to get in range to save his teammates with the Ag's time lapse. Because that's one way to do it. Like In Your Dream, it does feel like he needs that secondary life there with the Weaver. But now 2 racks is down. They're really going to try and secure that last lane of barracks and just make sure they can defend high ground. Problem is, Roshan's back up. Polaris know about it, and they're right in. That'll be the Shard's Aegis to go the way of the Dire unless NGX can fight this. And they don't really have a choice in the matter. They've got to try. So they'll smoke up, even with the Refresher Orb now up on Mizu. He's got 3 charges for Primal Split. They've caught them out. They've read the movement. Forced to move in. Mizu's dying again to the Medusa. He's got 1 Brewling left. He just needs to get the hell out of there. In the meantime, Polison's already gone. And now Jokam, he can't catch a break. He'll die in the trees just as he would have loved. As Primal Split is there, Mizu, he'll try with the second charge. But what does it matter? Just run, Mizu. Just run, sir. He'll try. Alacrity will try to help out with the Torrent and the Tidal Wave. Mizu, though, still moving. Will be able to fall back into the Brewmaster as Lelouch. He may have gone too far, or maybe not, because down Natsumi. He'll pop the Stone Gaze. He had it the whole time, just never needing to use it. And NGX.SEA, nice attempt with the Tidal Wave, but just not on the mark. And that'll mean Polaris, they'll move right back into that Roshan pit. NGX, they've got to try again. I don't think they can allow this to go to Polaris.
No, they can't afford to lose this Roshan. They still have, well, I'd say they have a split. They don't have a split left on Mizu because he did pop all of them to run out, and that's the issue here. Your counter into Brewmaster just can't survive the Dusa not long enough to get the Cyclone off. And that just means Natsumi's a major factor in these fights. In Your Dream is pretty farmed up, but not enough to really burst through a Medusa. The Roshan will go the way of Polaris, and they're going to be ready to go. 1 racks left to clear out, 17k lead. It's been such an even game for the first, I want to say, 20 minutes, but after that one fight, it's just snowballed for Polaris now.
Yeah. One of those things, right? Medusa, it's still a pretty damn good carry in this meta, and nothing changed. Bot lane In Your Dream was scouted out. Mizu, he's going to go for the TP up, but In Your Dream's been left alone. Do they check the tree line? Spidey senses, are they tingling? Not quite. In Your Dream, you'll be okay. Will the bot rack speed jump? Like, how do you kill Natsumi right now? He's got double life. He's got a BKB up very soon. He's got an abandon right behind him. What's the play?
Just still try to hope to get the Cyclone onto Natsumi, but for the Aegis, 2 lives, just so hard to burn through.
They've only got one time to the split right now. He'll pop it. They lose though right into the backside onto Polison. They want that Weaver dead. They want that safe potential gone. They've got him. Lelouch just soloing the Weaver in the backside of Showcam. He can't even survive. Lelouch finding a double kill on his own. Now Force will jump in and try and help out. Alacrity has been stunned up. He couldn't get the torrent off in time. Instead throwing it onto Force, trying to drag him back in onto the fountain. Because that's pretty much their only hope right now of killing off this DK. But it's just not happening. That'll be Megas to come out from Polaris Esports. And they are onto the tier 4 towers. NGX, it's a 3v5 situation. And it's looking real tough of a defense to come. They might just call it here, John, as the stickers have been dropped. Force, he'll still be the target. Again, he has backup right behind him, though, and he's not really the big issue. In your dream, he'll keep trying, but Natsumi, he pops the Stone Gaze, and now Lelouch moving forward. They'll stun up the TB in the fountain, but it won't matter. He'll be protected. Instead, it's back in onto Force, back in onto the DK, trying their best to take him down, and they might have him this time around. But in your dreams, forced to pop the BKB for this. Onto Mavis now. With the borrowed time, he might survive, but the X-Back is there, so no TP away from Mavis will mean another kill, or maybe not. In your dream, now's been caught out. There's your Rolling Thunder, Lelouch, saving the day again. In your dream, still running, but there's your Diffusal Blade. They'll force him back into the fountain, however, and he'll survive another day. As NGX, they're going to keep trying. Onto Natsumi they go. A great pushback into the sharpshooter. So it's taken by Force. He jumps in, and in your dream, he's gone. The Ancient is exposed. There's no buyback available for the carry of NGX, as they are still trying to defend this. But how do you? I mean, Natsumi, he's just going to keep going. No Brewmaster split. No real spells to throw out. Force is in again. Onto the Hoodwink. Xavier does drop to Alacrity, but again, the Ancient is the main objective, and it's gone. Polaris Esports able to find a 2-0 victory here against NGX.SEA. And I'll tell you what, John, they made it look easy.
They make it look really simple, and they play so consistently well, right? Like, you remember the time when Polaris used to just run around, be ultra aggressive,